All right, welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about a tier list that I've gathered. It's going to be about 19, 21 or so different strategies that you could use. I'm going to rank them all from S tier to F tier, what I recommend, what I've seen work best. So let's get into it. All right, so here's the tier list. Here we have all of the strategies I have compiled for you. This is 19 strategies. This is quite a few. Obviously talk about email, cold calling, SMS, and social media. So pretty much all the outreach strategies that are out there. Obviously there are some like minor ones that I'm not going to mention and some obscure ones that I'll mention at the end, so wait and see for those. But let's just get straight into it. I've compiled quite a few into like one, which I'll explain when we get to it. But first of all, let's just start with probably the most popular out there, which people are doing at the moment, which is cold email. All right, so cold email, where we're going to place cold email. Cold email is very, very good. Even in 2025, if you can utilize it correctly, you have to be careful about deliverability. So basically, if you just follow the guides on this channel or in the community, you should have no problems just staying on top of it. But basically it's like this, right? You buy one domain, and on one domain you set up 2 or 3 email inboxes, right? And from these inboxes, what you're going to do is you're going to warm them up for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks you're good to send 5 emails, and then eventually just scale that up to like 20. This is just for Google. I don't recommend you to do this with Outlook, so this is just for the G Suite inboxes. Cold email you could do in a lot of forms, like you could use like aged Gmail accounts 2014 and below. I don't recommend going any newer than this. These accounts are pretty much golden. Then you could go with G Suite. I think this is like the most reliable at the moment. And then there is of course Microsoft's Outlook, right? Different strategies apply for each. I'm not gonna like super go in depth into each strategies. If you want, just watch the crash course video or just any of the videos that we did about email. So if you just want to buy G Suite accounts, well, generally they cost like $7.50, $7 or so for each. And well, Gmail accounts, they cost like anywhere from like 10 to 15, because you just buy them one and you can use them for months. If you need them, you could use our mailbox setup service, which is called MailDeck. I'm going to link it in the description below. You can get G Suite inboxes for as low as $2. If you inside a Citadel, you get 30% discount to it. So you can get as cheap as $2 a month. We literally don't take any profits from it. This is as cheap as we can get you these inboxes. Or if you just need like aged Gmail accounts as well, we got that as well. All right, so where we're going to place cold email, I would place it in A tier. The reason it's not S tier is because it is just super finicky. It requires so much thought and just so much work to get it done right. But if you can, it is an S tier, right? So it is just like God tier. Okay. Then moving on, we're going to talk about hyper personalized email. So we just talked about cold email. This is the mass, this is the automated. And now we're going to talk about the hyper targeted, hyper specific, where you do a lot of research. You don't do any AI personalization, any of it. You actually take the time and research into the prospects. Say like you reference like some specific YouTube videos, handcraft emails. This is quite good. Not as good as people make it out to be. I would put it in a C tier or a D tier. Actually, I would put it in a D tier. The reason it's not good, number one, it's not scalable. You cannot rely on it. If you need to reach like specific prospects, it could be a good way to do it, but it's very, very situational, right? Next up, what is this? So this is very different. It's related to mailing and emailing. This is, well, good old handwritten letters, right? So handwritten letters you ship to companies and executives, or just anyone for that matter, right? The reason this is so good that nobody is really doing this anymore, right? If people are doing it, they just generally are sending like a Word document that, they pre-written and it just looks crap. If you handwrite letters and ship it out to your prospects, you can get like some crazy enterprise deals that way. Well, obviously if you're sending to the right people and just like top executives, even that could work. We have some strategies that cover that as well. But there's 2 ways you can utilize it. There are companies who automate this process, so you just pay per basically an email. There's AI robots robots that just like take and analyze your handwriting. You send it out to them, and what they do is they create a whole bunch of batches, like hundreds, thousands of letters, and then they just ship it out in the mail for you. I think it's just like a couple bucks per each letter, and they also ship it out. So if you're talking about that solution, that is, I would say that's S tier. But if you're just talking about like the regular one, like the handwritten one, I would say that's B tier. So I'm just gonna combine the two and put it inside B. If you're doing like the manual one, it's okay, not very scalable. If you're doing the automated one, it is very, very good, right? Next up, you have newsletters, right? So newsletters are very good. Obviously, you need to have some sort of lead magnet first, something that draws the prospects in. They give you their email address, and then you can send them those juicy emails. The best way I've seen email newsletter work is just like the jab, right hook technique from Gary Vee. If you're familiar with him, is basically you just provide value, even more value, and then you hit them with the sale, right? And generally, this is just going to return you a whole lot more customers, as well as happy people and not unsubscribing people from your newsletter. So when utilized correctly, this is absolutely a very, very solid way to get new clients in the door. All right, next, well, this is the final one related to email. This is the Zoom icon, if you're not familiar. So this is the Zoom/Loom type of video outreach that you could do with email, right? But if you're just thinking about this might sound a little confusing to your head, right? What do you mean, like Loom and Zoom? What does that have to do with emails, right? Very, very good question. So what you need to think about is you record a VSL, right? And you put it on Zoom Clips. That's the new platform it's called. It's pretty much exactly a one-to-one replica to Loom, or you just put it on Loom. And what you can do with this is you can use Loom and Zoom's internal messaging system, internal emailing system, to send it out to your prospects' inboxes. And every single time it is going to land in the inbox because they're using transactional emails, right? So you can just use this hack, you can use this trick. The problem with this is it's not super scalable unless you're using something like an AI tool, which you just take one video, you have your VSL, you put it in the AI tool, something like Be Human, and what it does is it checks the lead list, right? It checks the lead list and it takes the first name as well. You could do like company name, etc., as well as the website, right? Website or the LinkedIn page for the prospect, right? So that's really powerful. So what it does, it scrolls, it just creates like, so you still have like your Loom video, so something like you in the corner, you know, right here. You have your face right there, and what it does on the background, it just takes either the LinkedIn page or whatever you want, or the website, and it just scrolls through and it exchanges the first name to the prospect's first name. So it's really, really cool. You can create hundreds or not thousands of videos with this system. The problem is you're still going to have to manually set it up, so it's quite a pain, but it is very, very effective, and it is, and you're going to land in the inbox every single time. The reason I'm going to put it inside B and not A is because it's not as reliable. It is because it's just simply very, very, very hard to scale. But if you can do this, it is going to be probably an A or an S tier. All right, ultimately, I'm going to place, the only way to actually use this with Loom at the moment is just have an enterprise plan, and that costs, I think, like $2,800 per year. You have to buy 10 seats. If you need more help about it, just watch the videos we already posted about Zoom or Loom. The reason I'm going to place it in A tier is because it's just so effective, right? Even though it's not as scalable as the other solutions we mentioned previously, it is just super duper good. All right, next up, we're going to talk about the social medias. So first of all, we have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very, very powerful. It is more like a sidekick to Batman. So we have Batman here. That's a terrible drawing. We have Batman and we have Robin, right? This should be never your main strategy, never your main outreach strategy, but it's very, very good and very effective as a sidekick. The reason I'm going to put it in B tier, it's not scalable for the reason that you cannot get many accounts on LinkedIn. So we've tried to do it. It is pretty much impossible to have many accounts except for like real accounts. So for example, if you can convince your grandma, right, or your mom or your dad to give you their LinkedIn accounts, right, it is not going to work because you have to personally verify each account if you're planning on doing any kind of outreach. But if you can get these accounts done, it is very, very good, right? Like the worst I've seen, like literally the worst I've seen on LinkedIn is like a 10% reply rate. Generally, you can send out about 25 connection requests per day. 1/3 of these people accept. What we tend to do is we send a 3 email sequence, so 3 messaging sequence. So if you break that down, roughly about 8 people we can connect with, and 8 times 3 is roughly about 25. So you can send out 24, 25 messages every single day just on one account. And if you take like a 10% reply rate, that's like 2-3 replies per account. So that's why I'm saying it's so powerful. So if you can get like 10 accounts, that's easy, 20, 30 good replies per day just on LinkedIn. And you're also building your audience, right? So you're also building your connections in the meanwhile. So it's super awesome, very good. I would put it in S tier if it was like scalable, but I think the reason it's so good, you get so good reply rates, is because there's not many bot accounts, there's not many fake accounts, which is pretty much impossible to manage. All right, next we're going to talk about X. X is relatively new in terms of like outreach. People used to do it, a lot of bots, a lot of spam, but now I've seen X just like work really, really well. X is S tier, is easily the best out of all of them that I'm going to talk about today. So if you're not using X, definitely use it. You can send 450 messages per day. That's absolutely crazy. That's nuts. So if you're getting like something like, ideally you should be getting like a 3% reply rate is really good on X. If you can get that, you're golden. You're getting like 15 replies per day on one account, and there's no limit. Like all you need to do, you can just go into ZW2. We're not affiliated. You can buy aged accounts from there for like $1 a pop, and you can get as many accounts as you want. You can get like 10 accounts for $10, which is ridiculous. And all you need to do is just configure the accounts. If you need help with that, we show that all inside the program. Just configure the accounts, and just all you need to do is just verify them, like get the verification check mark. It costs you $8 per month, and then you need to use a automation tool like XReacher if you need like a discount code for that. We're not affiliated with them, but we have a special scaling room discount code for 20% off. All you need to do is just join the community. You get free access to it. So use something like that. All you need to do again is just pay for the automation tool. So if you have 10 accounts, you can send out 4,500 messages per day, and that's just crazy. Usually I don't see any like big problems with X. Sometimes they ban accounts, but man, it's just quite simple. Just pay $1 for an aged account. All you need to do is just like maybe warm it up. It's not really necessary, unlike with the next tools I'm going to talk about. So it's not really necessary. And just again, just pay for that $8 subscription, plus obviously like the automation tool. But you're gonna get such a massive ROI on this. Again, if you just like have 10 accounts, you can send out 4,500 messages per day. That's crazy. Okay, we're gonna talk about Facebook. Facebook Messenger, that's what the logo is. If you're not familiar, this is like the messenger bubble. It is good. It is very good. If you're doing like local business outreach, I would say that's A tier. If you're doing anything else, it's a hit or miss. So that's why I'm gonna put it inside C tier. If you're doing like local business outreach, man, it's S tier. But like I have to drop it down to C just because of this. It is quite good. It is easy to source leads for. So all you need to do is just join like any of the groups where your ICP is hanging out. All you do is just like use something like Instant Data Scraper, Easy Scraper, and just scrape those leads. If you need help scraping the leads, you can see one of our videos about it. We specifically talked about like local business scraping. So just scrape these leads, clean them, make sure they are good, make sure you're not sending messages to people who are unqualified or not fit. Just plug it into one of the automation tools. We recommend Reach Owl for Instagram as well as Facebook. We also do have like a 10% coupon code, so if you're interested in that, that's also going to be available in the community. You can absolutely just join for free, get the code, and just leave. But yeah, feel free to check it out, feel free to stay around if you like what you see. But with that in mind, it's a C tier. Next we have Instagram. Instagram is quite decent. I'm going to put it straight away into B tier. I'll explain why. The reason is it's very, very annoying to set the accounts up. You need to warm them up for at least 3 weeks, and you cannot do that automatically. All you need to do is just log on, change a few things, change like the profile picture, right? Add some like posts onto your page, change the bio, and over time it is going to be fine. Like manually try to use it. But if you want to get like 10, 20, 30 accounts, it's just going to be a massive, massive, massive pain. And with Instagram, we generally don't see like that good reply rates. So it's anywhere from like 1 to 5. 5 is very rare. 1% is generally like what we tend to see with Instagram because of the heavy spam filters that they have in place. So if you have 10 accounts, generally for one account, you can send out about 25 messages per day safely. So that's about 250 messages per day. So again, you're not going to get like many replies. You're going to get like 3 to 15 at max, right? So it's just such a pain like compared to X. If your ICP is active on X, man, with one account, you could pretty much double the volume that you can do on Instagram. It's not even worth it at this point. Well, if your ICP is really good on Instagram, it is still a good way to outreach. We're going to move on to messaging systems. So first, let me talk about, I would say, the most underrated one, the most underutilized one, which is WhatsApp. I'm going to place this inside B tier. The reason is most people have WhatsApps. So if you have a phone number, you pretty much automatically have a WhatsApp if you're in one of the countries that it's available in. You can use this if you're targeting countries that have, like, generally, like, people have WhatsApps there. It's very good. You could do like cold WhatsApps, warm WhatsApps. I just put it inside one, and I'm just going to put it inside B tier. Quite decent. There are like good tools, like I do believe Lens Pilot. That's a decent tool. The big problem with something like WhatsApp is the cost. You'd be surprised because Meta charges $35 for 1,000 messages on WhatsApp. And that's not counting the platform cost. Like if you're using something like Lens Pilot, that can get quite expensive right there. But you know, you could still get like good ROI from that. Like 1,000 messages, you should be able to book like, you know, a couple meetings. So it could work. It could very well work. That's why I'm putting inside B tier. Now we're going to talk about warm SMS. So this is warm, this is cold. Warm SMS is very, very, very good. I have no idea why people are not doing this. A lot of people are not doing this. It is very little effort. So if you want to get someone onto a call, just use warm SMS. If you already have their phone number, just reach out to them. It is just free. If they're ignoring your emails, just reach out to them via SMS and they're going to reply. There's really nothing more that needs to be explained. Just get a phone number. If you don't have a US number, if you're targeting US companies, you cannot use Skype. Unfortunately, they're closed. So by the time you're watching this video, it's most likely closed. We have some recommendations inside the community, so feel free to join. Everybody is missing Skype, I know, but we have some good, decent, and even better alternatives, right? Just a little bit costly, a little bit more pricey, about $20 a month, but you can get unlimited everything just like in Skype was. So just get a number and, you know, message the prospects. Very, very simple. Don't need to overcomplicate. Now we're going to talk about cold SMS. This is sort of a gray area. I don't recommend you to do this, but you can. Just make sure that you have prior consent from the prospects or any kind of engagement that happened. Otherwise, you could run into some trouble with cold SMS and just reaching out to people out of the blue. You're going to get your accounts banned if you're using something like Texla. That's one of the automation tools that, you know, we recommend when generally just going with cold SMS. I'm going to put this inside D tier. This is a hit or miss. You could get a lot of interesting replies. Actually, I'm just going to move it into C tier. It is quite decent, but this is like a hit and run type tactic. It could be very effective, but you could also get your account banned. You could get inside trouble. That's why I'm just placing it inside C. This is more like a reliability tier list as well. Like if you just want like results right now, that's going to be a different tier list, right? So based on that, what I've told you so far, you can make up your own lead list. Like cold SMS, if you just want like instant results, it's probably like God tier. But if you want like reliability, look at this tier list that I'm building. Next, we have cold calling. Cold calling, well, this is a touchy topic for some people, but cold calling is very, 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 very good. It works incredibly well if you have good leads, if you have a strong person that is calling. Cold calling works extremely well across any industries. It is just something that people overlook. It is something that works every single time. So if you're struggling to book calls, if you're decent at cold calling, you can get like 1 to 2 meetings a day, no problem. If you're just booking 2 meetings a day, well, obviously you can only dial through Monday through Friday. Man, that's 10 appointments per week. That's not the worst. That's not the best. That's quite decent just from cold calling. You know, if that works for you, just like do more dials or just hire someone that does cold calling. Cold calling is something that always works in any industry. It's just super underrated, super underutilized. You might not agree with this pick over here, but it is very, very solid. Very, very good. All right, next we're going to talk about AI cold calling. Well, now this is quite a contrary. So AI cold calling has been around for a year or two. It has improved. It has improved a lot. For cold calling and reaching out to people to sell their services, when you're using cold calling with AI to sell your service, it is not going to work, right? It is still slow. It is still very robotic. If you're using it for customer service though, it is very good, but that's a different tier list. I'm going to put this in F tier. I think this is pretty much the only one that is going to go into F tier. So with that in mind, let's move on to warm calling. Warm calling is an easy S tier, just like SMS. The reason is because, again, if you just want to reach to someone that has engaged with you in any prior way, just warm SMS and warm call. You're going to get them onto an appointment. If they're ghosting you, you can easily reach them as well. If they're not answering the phone, then try SMS. And again, like a combination of these, if you cannot really reach out to them, maybe at that point, consider lead as gone. But that is just super, super powerful. Very, very straightforward. Another thing we could have put in the list as well, but I did not want to like super saturate it. We could have put warm email as well. But, warm email is sort of the newsletter if you really think about it. Or, obviously you could follow up with like prospects through email if they're a warm lead, but I just recommend you to do calling and SMS. But, I would just put it inside the newsletter category. So if you have like warm email here, it's pretty much going to be A tier as well. Okay, so with that, we pretty much conducted all mailing, social messaging, as well as calling systems. So these are pretty much all like the core ones. And we're going to move on to some weird strategies that you might not have heard of. So we're going to talk about this. What the hell is this? This is the symbol for voicemails. It's mainly like a US thing. I've noticed a lot of countries worldwide don't have this internationally, but some do. If that country does, make sure you utilize this because it's quite decent. So what it does is when you ring up a prospect twice, it is going to skip to the voicemail. So voicemail is just something, after a call happens, it fails, you can leave a message to someone. And with this tool, you can send out hundreds or even thousands or hundreds of thousands of voicemails to people, and then people call you back up. The reason it's, problematic and not the best, right, is because say you leave 1,000 voicemails, cool. People call you back up, you get 50 people calling you back up. The problem is you don't know when they're gonna call you back up. So you're gonna have to be available. If you have a private number that is not your phone, that's going to be a problem. You might not be at your PC. It might not be able to receive two-way phone calls. So for that, I'm going to put it inside D tier. It is very, very situational. It could work if you're doing a local business outreach. It could work. In that case, if you're doing something other than that, I don't recommend it. All right, next we have, what is this? This is Google Drive. You mean Google Drive? Yeah, that's an outreach strategy. Well, this is sort of an extension, right? These are all like sort of weird ones, right? Google Drive. Basically, with this, just like with Loom and Zoom clips, you can skip the spam filter, you can skip the promo filter and get straight into the prospect's inbox every single time. If you want to send a VSL, you can do that. If you want to send a file, I don't recommend you to do that because you're going to look like a scammer. Don't do that. Just rather send your VSL or any type of important email you want to get across to people who might be ghosting you. But this is a golden strategy. The reason I'm not going to put it inside S tier because not super scalable, but it's an A tier strategy. It works every single time. It works for years. It is probably going to work for years to come. They're not going to change this. The very same simple reason for this is you need to share documents with people, and Google wants that sharing message to go across. They're never going to change this, so you can always use this. Has longevity, so make sure you keep in mind, if you really want to reach out to someone, use these. Use warm calling, warm SMS, and a combination of Google Drive. It is going to work wonderfully for you. So if you take away one thing from this video, is Google Drive is something amazing, right? Okay, next up, what is this? This is again Google. This is Google Calendar. You can do something a little freaky with this. You could put something like, say you have your calendar right here, and let's say we have Monday. On Monday, 9 a.m., doesn't matter which time. You just put a meeting, and inside the meeting title, you put like your regular subject line, right? So title is subject line, and inside like the description, that is going to be your sales copy, right? So, hey John, I know this is a weird message. I wanted to reach out to you. If you're reading this and if you're interested, you could, book a call and you mention your offer. And this is really just, not to talk to them at that time, but to get their attention, right? This works quite well. You can send this to hundreds of people, and you can hide the guest list so they don't see as well. Another thing you can do, just going back to like Google Drive, I forgot to mention, is you can send it again to hundreds of people. You can send the same VSL to hundreds of people. Problem with that is if you do that, you cannot like title it personalized. So you can use that pretty much an automated way. So that's quite cool. This one as well. Well, very situational, right? Where should I put this? Where should I put this? I would say, just for the sake of reliability, this is not that good, right? And finally, we have, what is this? This is database reactivation. Everything we talked about here today. If you get any kind of lead through this automated or just manual way, that lead is either going to close or that either is going to ghost you. This is a ghost emoji. So in this case, you can put them off of the database list, the database reactivation list. But if they're ghosting you or anything else, like if they didn't go in a meeting, anything, it could be anything, right? Only if they close, just get them out of the database reactivation list. If they're ghosting you, if they're still thinking about it, everything else, just put them inside the database reactivation list. And what you could do is just create a new campaign. Very simple. You could do that on email. You could do that on calling. You could do that wherever you contacted the people. You could have separate ones for X, Instagram, Messenger, calling, email, everything like that. And just very simple. What it does, again, you just reactivate the lead with a new offer. And the reason it works really well is because they have either talked to you, they were on an appointment, they were interested in some sort of way, they asked about pricing. The worst case scenario is they have interacted with you in a positive way, right? So I only want to put like positively interested people in here, and you just reactivate this, and you'd be surprised. You can get anywhere from like 10% to 30% more deals closed just from using this. So absolutely no brainer, absolute S tier. So with that in mind, we ran out of all the strategies. Sure, you could name a few more like crazy, like Google Calendar. There's obviously more. Like for example, I combined this into one. So this is like pretty much like 21 plus different strategies. Just so for the sake of reliability, try to use the S tier tools. X is just crazy good. The rest is just super good as well. These are most likely going to work till the end of time, but who knows? Google Drive as well. You know, if you're struggling to book appointments, try to follow my recommendations in this video on the tools I recommended you to employ. If you need help in implementing any of these systems, you can just simply book a call down below and you can talk to me or my team below. We're going to help you set up all these systems and get your calendar fully booked with appointments. Or if you just need like the discounts I've mentioned here in this video on any of the systems, tools and automations, you can just join the community, get your discount code for free. So with that in mind, this has been the official 2025 tier list. None of this is my opinion. This is absolute facts. If you have anything other to say, you can fight me in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.